Welcome into FanDuel Sports Network Live. It is April 15th, which means it is Jackie Robinson Day around Major League Baseball. You will see that number displayed in every ballpark, every game, and on every player's back today as we welcome in Russ Dorsey and my man Ben Verlander. Ben, we have a ton of stuff to get to today, but before we get into that, want to remind everybody that watching your local teams is easier than ever with FanDuel Sports Network. If we're part of your cable or satellite package, you're good to go. Just check your TV lineup, prefer to stream, use your TV provider, log in on the FanDuel Sports Network app. No cable, no problem. Subscribe to the app with monthly, seasonal, or annual plans. You can even stream your team on Prime Video with an add-on subscription. Availability varies by region. Don't miss a pitch. Check getmyhometeams.com now to see if FanDuel Sports Network is in your area.
Russ, it is Jackie Robinson Day, my friend. I love today. It's so special for obviously so many reasons. Everybody will be wearing number 42 out on the field. I often think back to Pee Wee Reese in the movie. Maybe tomorrow we'll all wear 42. That way everybody can remember your name. And here we are today, everybody going to be wearing number 42 out on the field. Such a special day, a lot of emotions. As you mentioned, we saw we saw his number everywhere in every single stadium. Obviously, we see that every day. But today, specifically, April 15th, Jackie Robinson Day, is just such a special day around the game of baseball.
You're right. And I think when you look at what we see, having that number retired in every ballpark in the big leagues is that constant reminder every day how important Jackie Robinson has been and continues to be in the game of baseball. I know for me, I didn't get to be drafted or play professionally like you did, but as a black kid growing up playing baseball, you hear about Jackie Robinson at a really young age. You learn about how important he was, also how great of a player he was, athlete. He went to UCLA. It was a fantastic athlete, multiple sports, and a very athletic family. His brother was an Olympian, and you hear about all these different things, all the stuff he did for Major League Baseball, all the things he did outside of baseball for the civil rights movement and moving, our society forward in a time where, he was the guy that people look to be a representation of a better future here in the States. And so it is a huge day. It is very important that we always remember the life and legacy of Jackie Robinson. But, when I think about today, it's always a big deal to me that we don't forget and use Jackie Robinson Day as a coat that we, take out on April 15th and we put it on and we feel really good about ourselves. Then April 16th, we take it off, put it back in the closet. There's still things to do as baseball. There's still progress to be made. But I think, when we remember those things, when we remember all the different things that Jackie Robinson did, not only in the game of baseball, but in terms of civil rights overall, I think there are a lot of lessons we can still learn from what he was able to do.
For sure. And I think today is it's a special day. There's a lot of emotions and for myself as well, being a guy that, I get, there's multiple different routes to get into a professional locker room. But once you do, life just hits you, you quickly realize I grew up in the United States. I went to a 4-year college. I got drafted and then I ended up in this locker room. But it quickly hits you from everybody else that you're around. What path have you taken to get here? It can be so different. And, I know, when it comes to Jackie Robinson Day in particular, it's, you can think, okay, there's Black athletes in Major League Baseball now, but it's so much more than that as well. The Latino players that are involved. Baseball looks nothing like what it does right now without Jackie Robinson. And I think that's so special for me, being this kid that ends up being thrown into a professional locker room that ends up, just becoming best friends and family with these people. So whether you're white, whether you're Black, whether you're Latino, and to be thrown into that locker room and become family with those people, and to think, man, this might not have happened if it wasn't for Jackie Robinson is always, it's emotional for many reasons, and I think that's one. I do think it's important. Obviously, this is the most important thing there is, but the baseball player he was, Russ, he was so good. I go down a rabbit hole every year of, diving into his numbers. And today I saw through his first 7 seasons, Russ, he put up a 51 B WAR. That's better than Barry Bonds, Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, and Aaron Judge through 7 seasons. So the player he was, the person he was, what he did for this sport, it's incredible. And I do want to ask you, Russ, because I heard you say, and it kind of it hits me. You said I don't want this to be like a coat that we put
Yeah.
on every single year and then take it off, and that's it. We'll see you next year. And
Yeah.
I get that. And what I would ask of you, because for myself, I see it as this day is a day where everyone celebrates it. You put on that number, everyone's wearing 42, and though that doesn't happen tomorrow, what will happen is his number will be seen in every single stadium around Major League Baseball. So I would love to ask you, like, what more would you like to see, and how do we go about it as a sport where it's not just a coat and we can continue remembering him in multiple ways?
Yeah, I think when you think about Jackie Robinson Day, I love that every player can wear his number today. I love that, his number is retired in every big league ballpark. I love how important Jackie Robinson's name has been in baseball at every level, the grassroots level in little league, in college, in high schools, and at the big league and minor league level. It's really important. And I think that's great. And the pageantry of what we have made Jackie Robinson Day is cool because you're going to always have kids that are very young that don't know about Jackie Robinson and get to learn about Jackie Robinson, right? You get to play with Jackie Robinson and other Negro League players who were like him that didn't make it to the big leagues in MLB The Show. I think you're gonna have a lot of kids that are learning about Jackie Robinson that he even played in the Negro Leagues, in the last couple of years, and that's really important to learn history. I think to me it goes beyond the things that we can necessarily see
Hmm.
on field because I think when you think about Jackie Robinson and what he was able to do for society as a whole and moving society forward with his, ability do to break the color barrier and then everything that came with that, right? We know he was a great player, but he went home at the end of the day, and there were not people that were always happy that he was playing for the Brooklyn Dodgers. And I think of what can baseball do. I think it's continuing to make, diversity an important part of baseball because diversity is an important part of baseball. And you talked about it, how you go into a clubhouse and you have people of different colors and backgrounds coming from different places, not just black and white. You have Asian players, you have Latinos, you have people from different countries.
Hmm.
And it's always really important in the game of baseball that has so many different personalities and people and people from different backgrounds to make people feel included, to make people feel like it is okay that you're here and we want you to be here. That's a big part of what, Jackie Robinson being in the big leagues helped bring. Like you help see other black players. We don't get Hank Aaron if we don't have Jackie Robinson. We don't get Larry Doby if we don't have Jackie Robinson. You don't get Roberto Clemente if you don't have Jackie Robinson. And what those players mean to baseball as a whole. They are giants. You're talking about guys who are in the pantheon of greats as ball players, but also what it did for, the culture in Major League Baseball where players had to be like, no, this guy here, it has the same name on the front of the jersey and that I'm going to fight for him. Same thing you were talking about when you or playing professionally, you have guys that come from different places where even you growing up in the States in the time that we grew up, it wasn't during Jim Crow. There wasn't segregation, but there are things that we still don't learn if we're not around different people that you probably like, you know what? I'm a better human today than I was before because I got to be around all these different people. So whether it comes to, diversity in terms of different races, but that also expands to, women, that expands to the LGBTQIA community. Like us as baseball is such a sport where people are involved. I met you through the game of baseball, and I
Hmm.
think that's awesome. And for me in the media, for you that was on the player side and now in the media, like you're going to see people in this game that don't look like you. And you need to learn about those people because there are a lot of awesome people in this game that wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the man that we're honoring today. So that's, to me, what baseball as a whole can continue to do as we move forward. And that's how you honor Jackie Robinson every day.
That's awesome, man. And it's emotional to think about, like, we can talk about the lives that he's affected directly and who we see on a Major League Baseball field, but to think like he's affected your life, he's
Yeah.
affected my life and who I've met along the way because of the locker rooms that I've been able to be in throughout my career. And, the reason that I'm here today is those life experiences. And the reason that you're here today and the reason we're able to sit here, you and I, talking about him and how special this day is on April 15th every single year is it's emotional, man. He's touched, like I wish for so many reasons, like you could see what he's done and what hopefully continues. As you just mentioned, there's obviously so much that can be done and will continue to be, but man, he's touched so many people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We will take our first time out here on FanDuel Sports Network Live. When we get back, there's a lot going around Major League Baseball. The best team in baseball plays at that ballpark right there, the San Diego Padres. We talk about the Padres and the very strong NL West when we come back.
The NBA playoffs are here, and I'm betting rebound props on FanDuel. After all, I am the league's greatest rebounder. Ain't that right, Chuck GPT?
Incorrect.
Well, top 5 for sure.
You are 19th on the all-time list.
Ninth. What about scoring?
31st and likely to be passed soon.
Assists?
No results found.
Best TV personality?
Top 1,000.
What about celebrity golfer?
Do you really want to know?
No.
New customers bet $5 to get $250 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book.
I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that we can get help. Let's see how far we can go. Love, your mind.
Hey! There's someone at my door.
Hi, you are currently being recorded.
Hey, put the package back.
With Ring, you can make them hit the road from anywhere.
Your tow chains are a little loose. Could spark a wildfire.
Thanks a lot.
Anytime. You should check out SmokeyBear.com. They've got a bunch of tips on wildfire prevention.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Meet Jonathan Thompson, an international travel writer on a mission to discover the most dynamic adrenaline-fueled destinations on the planet. Tune in to join Jonathan as he explores the world's best adventure cities.
Welcome back to FanDuel Sports Network Live. Watching your local team is easier than ever with FanDuel Sports Network. If we're part of your cable or satellite package, you're good to go. Just check your TV lineup. Prefer to stream, use your TV provider login on the FanDuel Sports Network app. No cable, no problem. Subscribe to the app with monthly, seasonal, or annual plans. You can even stream your team on Prime Video with an add-on subscription. Availability varies by region. Don't miss a pitch. Check getmyhometeams.com now to see if FanDuel Sports Network is in your areas. We welcome you back, Russ Dorsey, my man Ben Verlander. Ben, all the talk this offseason was about the Los Angeles Dodgers, and how could you not talk about the Dodgers? Everything they not only added this winter, but they're the reigning World Series champion. You talk about the reigning World Series champion, but I think we might have talked about them a little bit too much because the team that is red hot right now in the NL West is there used to be little brother, but I don't know if it's little brother anymore. To the south, the San Diego Padres, they are playing some of the best baseball in all of Major League Baseball. How surprised, one, are you with the Padres start? And do you think this is a harbinger of things to come this season for the Padres?
Russ, I think I told you a long time ago, I don't like the little brother analogy. Come on now.
I didn't even say it. I said they used to be the little brother, but I don't think we can use it anymore.
No, to your point, this team, as this graphic here says, they're not good, they're great. And I think, we quickly we scooted past the not so distant past. And what I mean by that is, look, just a few months ago, the Dodgers were playing the Padres in the playoffs. And if not for the Padres blowing it, they probably should have won that series. And then the team and Dave Roberts comes out and says, man, by far the best team we played in the playoffs. They were great. They scared us the most. And then I think, they didn't do a ton this offseason with the Dodgers doing a lot. So I think we kind of just forgot how great this team is going to be and can be. And Fernando Tatis is a guy that is back and absolutely raking. It's easy to forget he dealt with time off from his suspension and then some injuries. So he seems fully healthy and up to the potential that we saw from him years ago. This rotation is really deep. They don't lose at home. They have not lost at home. Bullpen, phenomenal. Rotation, deeper than I think we thought. They're doing this without Jackson Merrill right now, without Cronenworth right now, without Darvish. Musgrove obviously not playing. So this team, all of a sudden, you look at them and it's like, wait, well, maybe the gap isn't further than we thought it was heading into the year. The Dodgers, Russ, a little bit of a slower start than maybe we thought. Obviously, they started 8-0. Yeah. And then since then, they've lost 3 straight series to the Phillies, the Nationals, and then the Cubs at home, where they got their doors blown off, outscored 20-5. And I'm not here to say the Dodgers aren't great. They are great. But what I am here to say is I think that gap might be a little closer than we thought. The Dodgers aren't unbeatable. They're beatable. The Padres aren't good. They're great. The Giants aren't average. They're above average. And the D-backs are going to get better. So, the Padres have been phenomenal. And that gap, I think, Russ, between the Padres and the Dodgers might just be closer than we all thought.
No, I'm with you. And I think the one thing that I think about when I look at the Padres start, I watched how well they played in the second half last season. I watched how good they were in that series against the Los Angeles Dodgers until game 4 and 5. I didn't think I was driving back to Los Angeles, Ben. I was covering that series, and I said, oh, yeah, we're going to San Diego. Mm-hmm. That place gets rocking. Fernando Tatis Jr., game 3, hits a bomb. The place explodes. That place, when it gets rocking with, over 40,000, it is very hard to beat. I know we talk about Citizens Bank Ballpark in Philly. Petco, when it is full and those fans are energized, is as hard of a place to play as any in the big leagues. And I've talked to players about that. And I see a team that was able to say, we have a chip on our shoulder. We know we should have beat the Dodgers last year. We would have been the team that won the World Series if we had beaten them. And I think it's sometimes really hard for teams to continue to hold that on their shoulder and then play as well as they want to play. The Padres have been able to do that, as you mentioned, without Jackson Merrill, who's one of their best players in that lineup. Jake Cronenworth has been there for a long time. Michael King is looking like a NL Cy Young front runner with the way he's pitching right now. And they could be getting more pitching back as the season goes. They have one of the most aggressive GMs in all of baseball, one of the best aggressive president of baseball operations in all of Major League Baseball, and AJ Preller. I look at this team, and I said it during the playoffs last year. I'm saying it now. They're not scared of the Dodgers or what the Dodgers bring. To your point, the Dodgers are still a great baseball team. They still have 3 MVPs in their lineup. They still have electric starting pitching. But they do have questions with that starting pitching. You already have Blake Snell on the IL. Tyler Glasnow hasn't pitched more than 129 innings in his career. Roki Sasaki has had highs and lows in his first couple of weeks pitching in the major leagues. You see, guys right there that have dealt with injuries. Tony Gonsolin that was supposed to be in this rotation. Evan Phillips in the back end of that bullpen. There are a lot of guys that still need to return. Clayton Kershaw probably not coming back till July or August. When is Shohei Ohtani going to pitch? It's sounding like August, September, and maybe even October. So this Dodgers team is obviously talented, historically talented. And you look on paper and you see all-star after MVP after Cy Young. But at the same time, you got to get through 162 games, and that's really hard to do. And it's really hard to get through 162 games and have everybody be healthy, but also productive and firing on all cylinders. So this is going to be fun, Ben. Like, I like to watch this boxing match that is the NL West. I loved watching these two teams in the postseason last year. I'm going to love watching these two teams in the regular season this year. And it's not just them. The Giants are playing really good ball. The D-backs haven't played their best ball, but you've seen flashes from them where you're like, this is going to be a really good team. They don't lead the league in runs scored last year for no reason. Like, they're talented players. And if Corbin Carroll, who is playing well, is going to look like the guy that finished as the rookie of the year a couple of years ago, that team is something to be reckoned with.
Russ, you mentioned it. Look, the Giants are good. And I don't think, and that's kind of the point of this whole conversation is, wait a second. Maybe the NL West isn't a foregone conclusion anymore. I think at the beginning of the year, everyone says, okay, the Dodgers win the West, probably get the 1 seed, and then let's figure out where the chips fall from there. And then they start the season 8-0, and the conversation quickly transitions to, oh, is this the greatest team ever? And will they break the Mariners 0-1 116 wins record? Yeah. And then quickly you realize the point that I've been making all off season, and you probably have as well, it's baseball. Yeah. It's 162 games. We haven't had a repeat winner in 25 years. And until there's a problem, there isn't a problem. You have to prove that you can win over the course of 162 games. This Dodgers team is great, but we're seeing it already. Blake Snell on the IL, as you mentioned, and Glasnow has injury concern, and is he going to hold up for 150 to 200 innings this year? The odds say, well, he hasn't ever done that. So can you count on him to be that? So then you start realizing, I'm not trying to say this team isn't great. I'm just trying to say there's question marks certainly everywhere you look, as there are with every team. Do I think they can answer them? Yes. Would I be surprised if they win the division? Absolutely not. But Russ, if you came to me right now and said, hey, I think the if you came to me right now and said the San Diego Padres do end up winning the 2025 NL West, I'd be like, yeah, you know what? I can see it. And I think that speaks volumes. This Giants team is much better than I think people thought they were going to do. A team with confidence is a dangerous, dangerous thing. And everybody 1 through 9 in that lineup has confidence right now. They're playing really good. So there's just a lot of teams in this division, including the Giants, that all of a sudden, okay, why were we talking about the wins record? To get the wins record, you have to beat up on a weak division. This ain't it. This division, top to almost bottom. Rockies ain't good. Right. Top to almost bottom is tough every single night. This Giants team is really good as well. So I just think that gap that we thought was, okay, Dodgers are here, Padres are pretty good, Giants probably not great, but average, and then the D-backs will be good. It's a lot closer. Dodgers have some weaknesses. Padres are better. Giants are better. D-backs will be better. That gap is almost not existent to me right now. Will the Dodgers win the division? Maybe, but there's some other teams that can as well.
Absolutely. Every team outside of the Rockies is going to give you 27 outs a night. And if you're saying from what you just said, you have two teams that are probably between 84 and 86 wins. And then you have two teams at the top that are probably going to be between, 97 and 104 wins apiece, depending on, how they beat up on the NL Central or the Marlins and some of those other teams, in the AL as well, seeing that the AL isn't as strong this year as it's been in years past. It is going to be tough. You're right. To win 116 games, which would tie the Mariners' record for wins in the season, not only do you have to beat up on a really bad division, you have to stay healthy. Guys have to produce to the back of the baseball card or better. And you and I know baseball, that just doesn't happen all the time. The reason that nobody's done that since 2001 is because it's really hard to do. Guys get hurt. Guys underperform. Guys don't play like you think they're going to play. And at the end of the day, baseball is baseball. Sometimes teams are going to surprise you, like we're seeing in the NL West outside of the Padres and the Dodgers. The D-backs were a surprising team a couple years ago. They made it to the World Series as a team with, I think, 83 wins, that season. Like, I think you're always going to have, different variables each and every year. And this year, that NL West, like, maybe 100 wins or 101 wins doesn't win you the division. Like a couple years ago when we saw, the Giants win 107 games and then the Dodgers won 106 and the Dodgers had to be a wild card team with 106 wins. So it's going to be really fun to watch. You look at some of the guys on the D-backs right now not swinging the bat well, but as we saw last year, they went through moments where they weren't swinging it, and then they got red hot the rest of the way to lead the league in runs scored. So it's going to be fun. And yeah, like that, I can see this being like it was a couple years ago with the Giants and Dodgers, where they're just every day going back and forth. And you're like, well, I don't know who's going to win this division.
Yeah, I'm excited for this just because I think we're in for a dogfight here in this division. And I think, we mentioned it, I think it was last week or a few days ago, what felt like the NL East getting 3 playoff teams, and then we'll see how it shakes out in the NL West. All of a sudden feels like we could easily get 3 playoff teams out of the NL West. It's just a matter of who's going to grab those spots between, Dodgers, Padres, Giants, and D-backs. So all of these teams that we're talking about are really good. And I do think the Giants are probably the most surprising right now, just because we didn't know what they were. But you bring in a guy like Buster Posey, Russ, who just has some feel for the game of baseball and understanding of how to go about things. I think that's making all the difference in the world there in San Francisco for the Giants. And I'm excited to see how this division shakes out. The Dodgers are still great. This isn't about, they've lost 4 of their last 10 games. Maybe they aren't what we thought they were. They are. The Dodgers are an incredible baseball team and will do some historic things this year, probably on both sides of the ball. But I just think that gap is shorter, and that makes it really exciting when the other teams in the division are as great as they are.
Yeah, they're still going to have that month where they probably lose like 2 games. And then we'll be having this
100%.
conversation
100%.
all over again. We're going to take another time out here on FanDuel Sports Network Live. We just talked about the NL West. This is how things are looking in the NL West tonight.
Any NBA play can inspire your next hunch. And with FanDuel, you can turn them into big wins. So if you think they're going to rock the rim right out of the gates.
Hello.
Or you want to RSVP to the block party.
There he is. Yes, sir.
Or you think it's going to start raining threes.
Let's go!
FanDuel has more ways to bet on players so you can make your hunches happen with America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers bet $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if you win.
Girls' night.
Remember that place we got burritos from last time?
No, but with Ring, I can find it. Food delivery?
Nice.
There it is.
Wow, this really makes you look smart.
Thanks.
With Ring, you can type it and find it.
Hate is loud. It gets clicks. It gets attention. Hate, however, is actually quite small. But love is the majority. Love fills our hearts, our lives, our every day.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff. Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
You have a UTI at 30,000 feet. Yeah, you need a doctor. Good thing you can chat with an Amazon One medical provider from anywhere. That way, beds will be at your hotel, maybe even before you arrive. Now just brace your urethra for turbulence.
Welcome back. Watching your local team is easier than ever with FanDuel Sports Network. If we're part of your cable or satellite package, you're good to go. Just check your TV lineup for the stream. Use your TV provider login on the FanDuel Sports Network app. No cable, no problem. Subscribe through the app with monthly, seasonal, or annual plans. You can even stream your team on Prime Video with an add-on subscription. Availability varies by region. Don't miss a pitch. Check getmyhometeams.com now to see if FanDuel Sports Network is in your area.
Russ, the Cubs are legit. Let's talk about the Chicago Cubs because the Cubbies are back, my friend. We just talked a lot about the NL West. The Cubs are playing the Padres out there in the NL West, but this team is hitting the lights out of the ball. The offense is great. They're putting up runs in bunches. We just saw them on the road in LA take down the Dodgers. Not just take them down, throttled them in that series, outscored them 20-5. They've won 4 straight series against the A's, the San Diego Padres, good team, the Texas Rangers, good team, the Los Angeles Dodgers, good team.
Yeah.
And they've done it when the odds obviously are stacked up against them. The Dodgers lined up Yamamoto, Sasaki, and Glasnow in that series. They're 3 best pitchers right now. And the Cubs rotation needs some help. So this offense is absolutely killing it for the Cubs right now. It's a lot of fun to watch them play baseball. But I want to talk about the offense. I want to talk about how good this team is. And Russ, I want to talk about how Justin Steele is now going to miss the year with arm surgery.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this rotation that we're looking at right now, Shota Imanaga, Matthew Boyd, Jamison Tyone, Ben Brown, Colin Rea, look, you don't have to be a massive knower of Cubs or baseball to know this rotation now is going to need some help. But this Cubs team is rolling.
No, they are. They are. Let's start with the offense because that offense has been one of the best in baseball. I know the Yankees lead in weighted runs created plus, but the Cubs lead in almost every offensive category in Major League Baseball right now. And what that shows you is Kyle Tucker is a really damn good baseball player because you're seeing how that lineup looks with him in the middle of it around Ian Happ and Dansby Swanson. And you're getting Michael Busch, who had a solid rookie year last year, his first year in Chicago. He is absolutely swinging it right now on a heater, homer in 3 straight games. Pete Crow Armstrong, who was known as a defense-first guy, is giving you some punch offensively. Nico Horner in that lineup. The Cubs catchers are the best offensive catchers in baseball right now between Miguel Amaya and Carson Kelly. And so they're getting the job done offensively. And that helps because you do have a question now in that rotation. With Justin Steele going down with elbow surgery, obviously that's a huge loss. You're talking about a former all-star. You're talking about a guy since he became a full-time starter in 2022, has been one of the most consistent arms in Major League Baseball. I believe his ERA since 2022 is 9th in Major League Baseball. That's getting it done. And so now you ask yourself, well, how do you, as a team that is expecting to go to the postseason, because a lot of jobs are riding on you making it to the postseason this year, how do you fill that void of Justin Steele? Well, you have Shota Imanaga at the front of that rotation. That is an absolute dude. He's shown that he's one of the best pitchers in the big leagues. All right, cool. You have an ace. And then you have Matthew Boyd, older veteran, but pitched a long time. He's pitching well right now. Jamison Tyone, not pitching his best to start the season, but had a pretty solid season last year. And in the back end of the rotation is where you start to have those questions. Ben Brown has had some good starts, had some bad starts this year. But then you ask yourself, I wrote about it today for Yahoo, what else can you do? The trade market's not really percolating yet. And usually you have an injury this early, you kind of have to address things internally, right? I know everybody looks at Sandy Alcantara in Miami. Everybody knows Sandy's going to get traded. That's obvious. But if I'm the Miami Marlins, there's no reason for me to trade Sandy Alcantara on April 15th because I know the Cubs, who obviously have a need, like I have no reason to rush right now. The Mets have a need for starting pitching. The Baltimore Orioles, we've been talking about it for years, have needs for starting pitching. So the Marlins are going to be able to kind of assess their market and likely move Sandy closer, if not on deadline day. So if you're the Cubs, you have to address things internally, whether that's Javier Assad, who hasn't, pitched at all this season with an oblique injury, but last year, Ben, 29 starts, had an ERA in the mid-3s and was really good in that rotation. Or you look to a young guy like Cade Horton, who was their first-round pick a couple years ago and top pitching prospect. Could you do something like the Tigers did last year with Jackson Jobe? Whether it's starting him, putting him in the bullpen, and having that electric arm in there, they're going to have to address this internally until the trade market starts to come to fruition.
Yeah, and I think handling it internally I think they're going to be okay. I mean, one, you have the benefit of a not great division, right? There's not a team that you think, oh, we have to hold them off because if they pass us, like they could go on and win 100 games. There's not going to be a 100-game winner in the NL Central. All of a sudden, you start looking at this team. In my opinion, and what I see is Kyle Tucker is an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
Pete Crow Armstrong had his coming out party on Sunday Night Baseball out there in LA, where he's from, goes back, near home, hits 2 homers and a triple. And I've just been waiting for it. He was he broke out at the end of last year and he had himself a game where it was like, all right, now he's off and running. And then we saw the reason he's such a high prospect. Slower start to the year for him, but again, it's still the start to the year. I think maybe we saw his coming out party on Sunday night, and now he's off and running to the player that we saw at the end of last year. Seiya Suzuki has been great. Michael Busch has been great. Dansby hadn't hit at all, so you got to imagine you're going to get more from him. Shota Imanaga has been very good. Matthew Boyd, very good. We know Shota's going to continue to be. Is Boyd going to continue to pitch well? So there's question marks, obviously, in the rotation that they're going to need to answer. But I think this offense is good enough to keep them afloat in the division and to keep them where they need to be. But Russ, I look at it from my perspective. And I hear what you say of, look, the trademark, there's not a trade market right now. So is what you're saying, because look, Justin Steele goes down and social media is a stir with Sandy Alcantara, you are a Chicago Cub. And is what you're telling me, like, that ain't happening anytime soon. And although everybody can look at this Cubs roster and see they need pitching help, there's none right now. You got to go forward with what you have, and you can address it at the trade deadline. Even though you know what your issue is right now, it can't be addressed for 2-3 months.
Yeah. You don't even know what you are right now. You know what I mean? Like, usually we look at Memorial Day as a team where you start to look around like, all right, these are the contenders. These are probably the teams that aren't very good. Who's having a really good year? Who's really having a bad year so far? And if teams internally use that same thing. Like, who are we on Memorial Day, right? What are our needs? That's really when you start to address what your needs are. So then you start to make those phone calls as executives and say, hey, are you interested in potentially moving this guy at some point? No, we still think we're in it. Okay, cool. Oh, we're not in it. We would 100% listen on that guy, but there are other teams that are interested. That's when those teams, and that's how those conversations kind of go. So if you're the Cubs, because your offense has been so good, because you've played so well and you are where you are, you've given yourself some time to figure things out, right? Yeah. But also because it's April 15th, you're going to have to figure those things out internally. But eventually, they have one of the best farm systems in baseball because they weren't a great team the last couple of years. So they're going to have the prospect capital to make a big splash and potentially grab a guy as Sandy Alcantara at the deadline.
Look, Ben Brown was fantastic against the Dodgers the other night. Matthew Boyd was really good. Colin Rea was good. So, look, I'm with you. I think this team is good enough to continue to be where they need to be come the time you can address it. So I think what fans see, what the game of baseball sees is, oh, my God, you need a pitcher, push the panic button, trade your prospects. And it's like, let's hold on. Are we going to be 10 games back now at the trade deadline because of this? No. Are we still going to be in a position to get to the playoffs if we just stand pat and hope things work out? Yes. And guess what, Russ? If you say, let's stand pat and kind of figure it out as we go, and it's an absolute nightmare, then it's all hands on deck and do what you need to do to address an emergency situation. But it's not an emergency situation right now. Guess what? Justin Steele didn't pitch in that Dodgers series. Guess what? He hadn't been, he hadn't until the last couple starts been his Justin Steele self, and they're still while they're here. So Justin Steele is a stud. He's an ace of a staff kind of guy. He will be greatly missed, and the Cubs do need pitching help. But it's not an emergency situation. I think they can be okay until they can address it.
No, Bill, we've talked about the best teams in the National League, but if I ask you who the best team in the American League was, would you have an answer for me? We try to figure that one out after the break.
Hey, there's someone at my door.
Hi, you are currently being recorded.
Hey, put the package back.
With Ring, you can make them hit the road from anywhere.
FanDuel held a shooting contest to promote its new MySpend tool. MySpend makes it easy to view your deposit and bet history all in one place. Because betting without knowing how much you're spending is like shooting in the dark. See the whole picture. Make FanDuel's MySpend tool part of your system and stop shooting in the dark.
You're sick, on vacation, and now your wife is faced with going out there, with them, alone. But mom's having none of that. She got you a virtual visit with Amazon One Medical. And soon, beds will get delivered right to the hotel. Because no one gets out of joyful family fun. No one.
Meet Jonathan Thompson, an award-winning international travel writer on a mission to discover the world's most dynamic, adrenaline-fueled destinations. From once-in-a-lifetime outdoor adventures to local traditions and cultures, Jonathan will immerse you in the most vibrant metropolitan areas. Elevate your senses, ignite your wanderlust, and let the journey begin as he explores the world's best adventure cities.
Welcome back to FanDuel Sports Network Live. There is baseball on FanDuel Sports Network tonight. You got the Tigers taking on the Milwaukee Brewers in Milwaukee. You can catch that one at 7:40 p.m. Eastern. And to watch that one, watching your local team is easier than ever with FanDuel Sports Network. If we're part of your cable or satellite package, you're good to go. Just check your TV lineup for the stream. Use your TV provider login on the FanDuel Sports Network app. No cable, no problem. Subscribe through the app with monthly, season, or annual plans. You can even stream on Prime Video with an add-on subscription. Availability varies by region. Don't miss a pitch. Check getmyhometeam.com now to see if FanDuel Sports Network is in your area. You can also scan the QR code that should be in the corner of your screen. Russ Dorsey, Ben Verlander back with you. Ben, there are a lot of teams we talk about in the American League. We talk about the Yankees, we talk about the Red Sox, we talk about the Rangers, but it's that team that plays at Comerica Park, the Detroit Tigers, that are the best team in the American League right now. They're playing great baseball. They're getting a lot of production in that lineup. Tark Skubal at the front of that rotation, last year's Cy Young Award winner. Are your Detroit Tigers the best team in the American League as we sit here on April 15th?
Russ, I got two things for you. One, the American League stinks.
Yeah.
Two, the Detroit Tigers are the cream of the crop in the American League. Look, I really do like this team. Do I think they're the best team in baseball? No, but I think the American League is weaker. I mean, I look at the New York Yankees and man, do they have some issues. By the way, the Tigers just beat the New York Yankees. I look at the Baltimore Orioles, who for 2.5 years now have been the same team. This young core is going to be great. Guess what? They don't add the pitching, and it shows itself in the postseason. It's showing itself right now with the Orioles. I look around the league. The Rangers certainly have a high ceiling, but so many question marks. Then they go on a losing streak. I look at the Detroit Tigers, Russ, and I think this team has the best pitcher in baseball, Tarek Skubal, reigning Cy Young Award winner, reigning pitching Triple Crown winner in the American League. It has Jack Flaherty, who they added, who has a 1.6 ERA. Casey Mize, who you've been hearing about for a few years with the Tigers and was supposed to be really good, all of a sudden is really good, it seems. Jackson Jobe has been fantastic. So this team all of a sudden is just this scrappy, let's figure it out on offense team with, in my opinion, one of the best managers, if not the best manager in the game of baseball in AJ Hinch. So I like this team a lot, and I absolutely think this Detroit Tigers team is the best team in the American League. I look around and I don't see a team that jumps off to me that says this team is far better than the Detroit Tigers. There's teams with bigger stars. There's teams with Aaron Judge, but I can't sit here right now and say, Russ, the New York Yankees are definitely better than the Detroit Tigers. I don't think that's the case.
I can only think of maybe one or two teams in the big leagues right now, Ben, that are playing better baseball than the Detroit Tigers. And I think when you look at that rotation right there, they have a lot of guys getting it done. Casey Mize, former 1-1 pick. You wondered if it would ever happen for him. Obviously, he had some injuries in there, but the production wasn't there either once he came back. Had to kind of figure out who he was after those injuries, and it looks like he's been able to do that. The pitching infrastructure there in Detroit has been phenomenal. It was the thing that got Jack Flaherty to looking like the guy we saw a couple years ago at the end of his beginning of his tenure in St. Louis. Now he comes back after winning a World Series with the Los Angeles Dodgers and looks like the same Jack Flaherty that he was last year when he was with the Tigers. And then you add to that team now an offense that is able to score runs in bunches. If this is the version of Spencer Torkelson that we're going to see, that is huge for the Detroit Tigers, because that means it's not just Kerry Bonds, Kerry Carpenter doing it by himself. There is serious thump in that lineup. If Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson, Colt Keith, those guys are going to be able to hit like they thought that they're showing they can. Now you're saying, all right, maybe the Tigers go and get another bat at the deadline. Maybe they don't have as many holes as we thought they would going into this year. One thing I also think about, Ben, how good would that lineup be if Alex Bregman was in it right now? Like, that would have been the missing piece.
Absolutely. And I think, Russ, this offense, it's not full of household names. In fact, the biggest name to your average fan is a guy that came over from the New York Yankees in Gleyber Torres.
Yeah.
But Riley Green is capable of being a star. Spencer Torkelson was supposed to be, but it hadn't panned out. And I have my shirt. I still believe in Torque. I hadn't given up on him. He was a former #1 pick in the draft for a reason. He hit at every single level. Arizona State, single A, double A, triple A. Then he gets called up and really struggled. Well, he has confidence this year. You can see it. Everything is different with Torque at the plate right now. So all of a sudden, this offense that I begged and pleaded needs Alex Bregman, this Tigers lineup. It's a great day to sign Alex Bregman. It didn't happen, right? So what do? Well, you turn to guys that you believed in as an organization in Colt Keith and Andy Ibanez, who's basically Aaron Judge against lefties, and he doesn't play against righties, and Kerry Carpenter, who's Kerry Bonds against righties, but he doesn't really play much against lefties. So you figure it out. And I think they have the perfect manager to do that in AJ Hinch, who has figured it out. And then we saw it last year in the playoffs. AJ Hinch said, what are we going to do with pitching? Well, it's going to be Tarek Skubal and chaos. Well, now it's all of a sudden it's Tarek Skubal, then Jack Flaherty, then Casey Mize, then Jackson Jobe. And all of a sudden you look and this rotation is like, dang, this is a really good rotation. Yeah. And this lineup is capable of putting up runs depending on how we line it up. And do they have the household names? No, but they've proven so far we don't need it. We're going to pitch the lights out. We're going to score enough runs. And this team, all of a sudden, look, I'm really happy for what Spencer Torkelson is doing, Russ. And I know he's a guy that you like as well, and you've talked a lot about him. He's a former #1 pick, and he's killing it this year. And as you mentioned, if this guy can have a 900 OPS, and look, if you're the Tigers, you're not asking him to have a 900 OPS. Have a 750, 800 OPS, and all of a sudden that's way better than what you were getting last year. And then you can plug him into the middle of the lineup instead of just hoping he can figure it out down in the 7-8 hole. Next thing you know, it's Riley Green, it's Spencer Torkelson in that 4 hole, and then your offense is way deeper and much more legit. So this team, if you were to ask me who's the best team in the American League, in fact, you did ask me who's the best team in the American League, I'm going to say, look, it's the Detroit Tigers. Give me Tarek Skubal and Jack Flaherty up against anybody in a 5-game series with this offense that's capable of putting up runs. I think it's this team. What about you? Who do you think is?
No, I think it's the Tigers too. I think it's the Tigers too. So we figured that out. We answered that question. Now, who's the second best team in the AL? That's another topic for another day. But we got to get to break here on FanDuel Sports Network Live. Here are some probable sports nuggets.
There I was, 16, divorced, remarried with a baby, another on the way, and I could barely read or write. Getting my high school diploma was a catalyst I needed. Now I have a bachelor's and master's, and I became a teacher. When I look at all these success stories, I could not help but think it all started by getting my high school diploma.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
My name's Stacy, I'm 57, and I was adopted in 2020.
We were adopted in 2019.
And we were adopted in 2021.
We had a house, and it sounds crazy, but it wasn't a home. The one thing that Jake and Emma brought is it became a home.
When I met Dakota, he had just turned 14.
You weren't there for the first this and the first that. I missed the first words, but we got a lot of other firsts.
Watching her say, oh my God, I cannot believe I got my license. And she's like, I passed. And I'm like, girl.
See them grow. It is...
They chose to love us. They didn't have to. They chose us. Family.
You and you. Kids in the middle.
What I thought was a complete life was nowhere near complete, but it is now.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
Welcome back to FanDuel Sports Network Live. I want to remind you that watching your local team is easier than ever with FanDuel Sports Network. If we're part of your cable or satellite package, you're good to go. Just check your TV lineup. Prefer to stream? Use your TV provider login on the FanDuel Sports Network app. No cable, no problem. Subscribe to the app with monthly, seasonal, or annual plans. You can even stream your team on Prime Video with an add-on subscription. Availability varies by region. Don't miss a pitch. Check GetMyHomeTeams.com now to see if FanDuel Sports Network is in your area. You can also scan the QR code.
Russ, let's do something. I love a good list. I love a good list, and we're about, I don't know, 3 weeks into the baseball season. What
10%, I found out. We were 10% through the season as of yesterday.
10%. There you go. That's 1/10 if I'm any good at math. So let's come up with our list of top 5 surprising hitters so far to start the 2025 season. We both came up with a list of 5. I don't know yours. You don't know mine, but I'm going to go 5 through 1, see if you agree, and then you go 5 through 1, and we'll talk through it. All right, so
let's get
I'm going to start with mine. At number 5, I'm going to go Mike Yastrzemski of the San Francisco Giants. Yaz is hitting .311, all right? So what I like about what I've seen from Yaz so far is pretty simple. It looks like it did in 2020 before it kind of slid off a little bit and he had some down years. Well, we know the Giants are good. A big reason for that is because of how good Yaz has been, hitting .311 with a 1.036 OPS to start the season, 10% of the way through the season, so I hear. Next up on my list, at number 4, I'm going to go George Springer. He's hitting .375. He has an OPS over 1,000. He's got 10 RBIs. The reason I say this is because, well, look, we saw how good George Springer was with the Houston Astros. Then he signs his deal with the Jays, which feels like a while ago, but he hasn't been the same player since. He hasn't been the player that they were hoping they would go out and get. This is the player they were hoping they were paying to lock down the outfield there for a long time to come. George Springer looks back. I'm pumped up to see that for sure. So I put him on my list. Next up in number 3, I'm going Jung-Ho Lee, who is hitting .322. The big thing for me, I've liked the player he is since he came over. Obviously an injury. What I would be able to tell you that he would do is, yeah, I could see him hitting .300. But what I like is the pop that I've seen from him. 3 homers in that series against the Yankees on the road. He's got 8 doubles on the year. He's got 16 runs scored on the year. And his OPS is over 1,000 as well on the year. So I threw him in here. At number 2, we just talked about him, Spencer Torkelson. Oh, wait, let's go back to Jung-Ho Lee. Here's a spray chart right here. So all of his hits, we see the homers all coming right there to right center field, though they were not there at Oracle Park, because that would be a tough spot to hit some homers out there for him. But the 3 homers, he hits it to all fields. That's why he's a 300-plus hitter, is because he hits to all fields. Cool graphic to see that there. Spencer Torkelson, he's hitting .288. He's got 5 homers. He's got 12 RBIs. Torque, I still believe in torque, but I'm pumped to see how good he has been this year. Look at those stats right there. Throughout 2022 through 2024, his average was 221 with a 693 OPS. So far this year, through 12 games, he's hitting 288 with an OPS over 1,000, 5 homers. Look, this was a former first overall pick. This is what you expect of him, and he's back to being the player that I think the Tigers thought they were getting. Good start to the year. Number one for me, Russ, is Tyler Soderstrom with the A's. Look, he's hitting 305. He's had 6 homers, and OPS over 1,000. Who saw this coming? Not me, probably not anybody, but here he is at the top of the league in a lot of offensive categories. So I'm going Yaz, George Springer, Jung-Hoo Lee, Spencer Torkelson, and Tyler Soderstrom as my top 5.
That's a good list, man. It's a good list. You got some vets there with Yaz and George Springer, some young guys with Jung-Hoo Lee, Torque, and Tyler Soderstrom. I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
And we've been hanging out a lot, Ben. So I think we might have one of the same ones on here, but my list a little bit different. I'm gonna start at number 5, Wilyer Abreu. Guy's having a breakout year, hitting 333, one of the highest OPS in all of Major League Baseball. 3 homers, 4 doubles, 12 RBIs. Been the best hitter for a Boston Red Sox team that, outside of a game where they went off on Sunday Night Baseball, have not exactly swung the bat well. Then we get to number 4, Ben Rice, changing numbers. He went to number 22 after Juan Soto left. He's been looking at like Juan Soto at the plate. You see the hard hit rate there. Slashing 300, 417, 680 with 5 homers, also 10 walks. You love to see a guy that gets on base. Then number 3, the guy that you mentioned, Tyler Soderstrom, tied for first in baseball in homers, 305. He's getting on base at a high clip. In a lineup with a lot of guys that are really strong offensively, he's kind of stood out with what he's been able to do. Number 2, Kyron Paris, 23 years old. Last year, really struggled at the big league level. And you look at his spray chart here. He's hitting the ball out of the ballpark, got a triple, got a double, a lot of bombs. He's hitting the long ball, and it's been the reason the Angels have been one of the surprising teams. You know, we hadn't mentioned them today, but they've been the second best team by record in the American League. Kyron Paris, a big reason why. Also hitting 368, Kyron Paris. And then number 1, Jung-Hoo Lee. Look what he's done over the last 5 games. To me, and you mentioned a little bit of this, when he came over from Korea, he was a elite bat-to-ball skill guy with speed. That's what we heard about him last year. Tears up his shoulder, torn labrum, out for the season. We don't get to really see what Jung-Hoo Lee was going to be his first year in the big leagues. Now that he's healthy, not only is he has those bat-to-ball skills, not only he's showing that speed, he's showing the power. So much so that he's hitting 3rd in that lineup for Bob Melvin. And if he's tapped into power now to go along with that elite bat-to-ball skills and that speed, you have a really dynamic player there in San Francisco. So that is my top 5 surprising hitters as we are 10% through the season. How you feeling about it?
Here's the deal, Russ. I'm so glad, and I was counting on you. I wanted to put Kyron Paris in there, and I'm glad you did, because we needed to talk about him. I just ran out of room on my list. I wanted to have, like, there were so many guys I wanted on there. Kyron Paris absolutely needs to be talked about. We haven't talked about the Angels, and we hadn't talked about Kyron Paris until now, so it allows us to talk about both. Do I believe the Angels are going to make the playoffs? No. But have they been a surprising team to start the year? Yes. And Kyron Paris, dare I say, is the reason for that. We know Mike Trout. We know how good Mike Trout is. If the Angels aren't where they are right now, if it's not for Kyron Paris and how good he has been. So I love that you put him on the list. I love Ben Rice there as well. And the rest we agree on. So good stuff from you. Love your list for sure.
My man, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I talk about torque so much, it didn't feel right if I put him on the list as
I was
well.
also thinking, like, I tweet it all the time. I have a shirt, I still believe in torque. And it's like, do you really? If you put him on your surprise
right, if you don't put him on the list.
But I still wanted to talk about him.
I get it. I love it. Really quick before we get out of here today, want to leave you and the folks at home with something fun. Austin Wells, catcher for the New York Yankees, a really good catcher, by the way, has started an Instagram where he's ranking breakfast burritos whether that's in clubhouses on off days. He'll go to, wherever city the Yankees in or somewhere in New York, and he'll just rank burritos. You can see some of the burritos here. Comerica Park, that was the chorizo, egg, and cheese breakfast burrito. I don't know if you had one, Ben, while you were in Detroit. The off-day burrito at the Hungry Llama in New York. Gave it an 80 grade breakfast burrito. And this is really fun, Ben. Like, we always beg for guys to have personality in the big leagues. This is personality personified, and it's fun. Who doesn't love food?
Look, he's just not going to the right spots in Detroit. To give that a 62 out of 100, one, I disagree with that. I've had it. It's good. There's just plenty of spots in Detroit. We gotta hit him up and let him know where to go to. But this is awesome, and it's a much larger conversation of Major League Baseball. For a while, the players just didn't really market themselves, and the sport needed to market its players better, and blah blah blah. Well, that started to happen. The content on social media from the league has been incredible. Players doing stuff like this, I love it. So I'm all for this. It's funny, it's fun, it's good content, and I'm glad we were able to show it.
Who doesn't love food? I'm with you, Austin Wells. That's going to do it for FanDuel Sports Network Live today. I'm Russ Dorsey. That's Ben Verlander. We will see you guys next week.
NBA playoffs are here, and I'm betting rebound props on FanDuel. After all, I am the league's greatest rebounder. Ain't that right, Chuck GPT?
Incorrect.
Well, top 5 for sure.
You are 19th on the all-time list.
9th. What about scoring?
31st and likely to be passed soon.
Assists?
No results found.
Best TV personality?
Top 1,000.
What about celebrity golfer?
Do you really want to know?
No.
New customers bet $5 to get $250 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book.
Your toe chains are a little loose. Could spark a wildfire.
Thanks a lot.
Anytime. You should check out SmokeyBear.com. They've got a bunch of tips on wildfire prevention.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Where's that game we always play?
I don't know, but with Ring, I can find it.
Board game.
Oh, man.
If I may, search raccoons.
There's a lot of results. Oh, look, the masquerade party.
What a party.
Girl, you have a raccoon problem.
With Ring, you can type it and find it.